The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC Allsip Chicago, and iNetworks Communication Station.
Great morning, great morning. Welcome to Cupcakes and Conversations with me, Tinisha Stevens, and
me, Amani Crockett.
Me, Bernard Stevens.
And me, Mama Linda.
Guys, we are live right now on WVTC Radio, the Stellar Award-winning internet radio station of the year. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us live on this morning. We have an amazing topic, and remember to continue to keep joining us every week on Mondays at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Y'all, this is weekly. We're live, and we have some amazing Christian cupcakes and conversation topics that God just continues to download within us on a weekly basis to, just to bring the word of God and get people to know who we are through whose we are, which is what God told us what to do on this platform. It's not all about the cupcakes, but, grab your cupcakes from us. Drizzle Me Happy, LLC. You can reach out to me at 708-529-1676 so you can get your cupcakes and then join in with the conversation. Right now, we got a peach cobbler, y'all. I said it when I was about the cupcakes, but we got peach cobbler this morning. We got drizzle this morning with peach cobbler down here. He over there eating. It's good. But so the topic today is triggers. We've been talking about this at church this week, and this subject is amazing. It's really absolutely amazing. It was extremely helpful, and just extremely helpful this week for me because I had a couple of triggers this week myself, and here, want some drizzle? Got you covered. And this topic it can be extremely sensitive to people. So we're going to talk about triggers and what are triggers. Triggers we're going to look up the definition for you and give it to you guys. So triggers refers to the experience of having an emotional reaction to a disturbing topic, such as it could be violence, it could be or the mention of suicide, it could be a mention of anything. It can also deal with trauma that you had in your life where, something will trigger it and bring it back. Or it can be something the way that you live your life, early on in life where you just stay focused on one way of thinking about things. And then, you feel maybe possibly you felt like you got rid of it or you grow, and then here comes somebody coming along and trigger it. Somebody says something to you and it just bring back that memory and you go back into that same state of mind or that behavior comes out. Different triggers can be anger. Different triggers could be childhood memories. Different triggers. It's a ton of triggers out there. But it's a difference between being triggered and being uncomfortable. So you're in an uncomfortable situation. Maybe somebody just not, you're just feeling a little bit uncomfortable in the environment and you just want to remove yourself from the environment, and a trigger causes trauma. A trigger can be triggered from trauma. Trigger can be triggered from trauma. So, right. It could be somebody rubbing you the wrong way. Some triggers can you can be carrying around, and triggers can bring up old baggage in your life. Things like that. Or sometimes, I'm gonna use an example of my daughter here. Miss Amani. Yes. Okay, so when she was little, she used to get picked up by a school bus. And if that school bus didn't come on time, she was at an amazing home daycare. And they would just keep her at home because that baby put her coat on, she put her hat on, and she put her book bag on. It's time to go. It's time to go. And if you don't, and she couldn't talk that well at this time. And so if you do not pick her up at this specific time, she has an amazing body alarm. If you don't pick her up at this specific time, when she was little, it was a meltdown. Through a whole schedule off. She was emotional. She would cry. She'd be standing at the door like, where are they? You're not showing up. That Miss Bonnie, she knew I'm keeping this baby at home, and she would give me a call and say, I'm going to keep this baby at home today. The school bus didn't show up on time, and it's just everything is thrown off. And I was just so grateful for that.
She was amazing.
Yeah, she was. But to carry that on to adulthood, it's a different story. Somebody gets a little upset and a little angry about things, if something doesn't go the way that it's supposed to go. Somebody or certain situations trigger impatience.
Okay.
Not trying to rip you up. I'm gonna let you talk about it. I want you to talk about it.
There are a lot of different triggers for a whole slew of emotional responses, but today we're mostly going to focus on triggers for anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking here, I found a little listing of some of the common triggers that causes people anger. We got injustice, disrespect, violation of your personal space.
That's good.
So people get too close.
Yep, that's good.
Abusive language.
Yep.
Labeling, shaming and blaming.
Mm-hmm.
Physical threats. You know that when somebody's physically threatening you some harm, that can make you very angry. Insults, misinformation, lying, relationship disputes, constant disappointment, lack of control, and then there's some exclusively individual that just personalized type of triggers. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about making you angry.
Yeah. So who wanted to start there? Hubby, let's start about a trigger that's been that you had to deal with this week when it comes to the topic of anger, or being in that environment and being a Christian person, a man of God, and having to deal with people.
Okay. So this situation happened at work, and in order for you viewers to get a full understanding, I have to give you a lot of background information. So I work in a hospital, as I mentioned the last time I was on the show, and I'm a mental health worker, meaning I work with patients who have psychiatric problems. I work on the behavioral health unit. So this particular day last week, I get to work and I look at the assignment sheet and I have a one-on-one. And as I explained the last time I was here, one-on-one means I have one patient to focus on and keep safe. And I'm pretty much the shadow for that patient that whole work shift. One of the best things about working on the behavioral unit is if you ever get a one-to-one assignment and that patient sleeps your whole shift, you are literally sitting there for your whole shift, getting paid to sit down and watch a person sleep. Literally. And it is the easiest thing ever. And this particular patient, he had been with us for a while, and he was about to get discharged. So I guess they had finally got his medication correct, because all he wanted to do was eat and sleep. Like, he literally was drowsy. He'd get up, breakfast here, okay, ate his breakfast, right back to sleep. Lunch here, okay, ate, back to sleep. So one of the problems I've been dealing with at work is I have a coworker who's been working there for many years at this particular hospital on this unit, who is extremely lazy. Extremely. Like, he literally punches the clock, eats for 12 hours, does no work, falls asleep, and asks to leave work early every day. So,
is he okay?
And so wash, rinse, repeat. He punches in, eats for 12 hours, does not do any work, falls asleep, asks to leave work early. So this particular day when I get to work, like I say, I was assigned to a one-on-one, and I was excited. I was like, okay, I finally get to sit on my butt for once and just chill out with this dude. Found out that patient was getting discharged that day. So that was cool. He didn't end up getting discharged until after lunch. We also had an orientee. It was a young African female, her first day on the job. So she was partnered up with the person who referred her to the hospital. Another coworker of mine, a male from Africa, who had been working with this young lady for 2 years at a whole different location. And I guess he felt that she had the skills to do well on our unit. So he referred her and she got the job. So we're on the backside of our unit, which is for the more acute patients, as they call them. Patients who are more psychotic and more aggressive and harder to deal with. It's like 5 rooms on the backside. And it's all of us back there. It's me, Mr. Lazy, male African, female African.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
Male African is orienting the female African because he referred her and she got hired. So they're over there behind the worker station chopping it up. I mean, like just talk. All these hours just talk. Mr. Lazy ain't doing nothing but eating as usual. He's just over there eating, eating, talking to them, eating. I'm just sitting there watching my patient who's pretty much asleep for the first 6 hours of the shift. Now, how they've been doing it is after 6 hours, we rotate. So the staff who are on the front side of the unit with all of the less aggressive and agitated and hard to deal with patients, we switch. We switch sides. So we go to the front, then the other staff come to the back. Before we could even switch sides, Mr. Lazy has already went to the supervisor and asked if he can leave early because he knew my patient was getting discharged. And I'm like, if my patient I'm sitting on one-on-one is getting discharged, how are you leaving early? Like, I should be the one that gets to go home.
Right.
My assignment's done. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we have to do with him.
Dude.
Yes.
Stacking. Here go all of the stuff that's about to
Yes.
happen, stacking. So that's the first thing.
Yes.
So my patient does get discharged and everything, and we switch sides, so I'm on the other side. Mr. Lazy done found his way out the door. He's gone. So now that Mr. Lazy's gone, one of the nurses looks at me and she says, Renard, I'm like, yes, ma'am. You know that so-and-so who left early had the first admission, and now that he's gone, I'm gonna need you to do the first admission. What?
Yeah.
He leaves early, so now I'm handed all of his assignments. So now I got to do his charting, do his admission, and all this stuff. And he left early. Stacking.
Yeah, stacking.
Doing an admission at the hospital, it's not difficult. It's more tedious than anything. You know, you make sure the patient's room is set up. You know, they got pillows, blankets, linen, stuff like that. They got hygiene supplies. You know, they come in, you kind of give them a rundown of the unit, the rules, and all that stuff. And we have to log their belongings, wash their clothes, and put them in a locked area of the hospital. You know, it's a little closet. We keep all the patient belongings. None of this stuff is difficult, but it's the fact that that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing for the day. I had a one-on-one.
What do you do when it changes?
So now, right, things have changed. This nurse has asked me to take on his responsibility. Okay, cool. Second part of the admission process is doing a body check. Whenever a patient comes to our unit, we have to get them to disrobe, and we check their bodies for lacerations, bruises, rashes, tattoos, you know, any kind of things, markings that the nurses and medical staff need to know about, you know, swellings, anything out of order. And this is usually not a problem unless the patient comes to us very psychotic. Like about a month ago, we had a patient show up, and as soon as he gets to the unit, I got to go to the bathroom. And it's like, you've been downstairs and here all this time. That's a red flag. So me and my coworker, we were like, yeah, you can go to the bathroom after we do this body check. No, you gonna let me go to the bathroom. It was a male. I ain't got nothing to hide. And he started taking off his gown, swinging himself all around. Look, I just need to go to the bathroom. I need to do number 2. So we steady trying to tell the nurse, there's something wrong with this situation. He won't let us check his body. There's something up. No, don't even let him go to the bathroom. It's 7 o'clock. We about to punch out. Next shift coming in anyway. We was like, whatever. Come to find out the next day we come to work, he had marijuana hidden in his body. Did you hear me? I told you he was naked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where was the marijuana at?
Oh,
He had marijuana hidden in his body.
okay.
They found him in his room stuffing the marijuana in the vents. He was stuffing it in his ear holes. He was trying to hide it everywhere, which we would have found if you would let us do the body.
Wow.
So back to the day I was having. I have to do this admission. There wasn't assigned to me. I have to do this person's charting and notes because he done went home early.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, okay, we stacking, right?
Yeah.
Mr. The African male comes to me and says, the orientee is shadowing you now.
You like, what?
Yeah. So Ray is going to teach you how to chart. He's going to teach you how to do notes. He's going to teach you how to do this. He's going to teach. And I was like, what? And the first thing she did was ask me a question. And I literally just stared at her and I looked at her like, my African coworker, he down the hallway. He hears the question. He come running back. Ray, she's talking to you. She's talking to you. I'm like, yeah, I know she's talking to me, but why? And as I told my wife, I had to realize at that moment, I was getting so upset because it was like all of these other people's work assignments being dumped on me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I could feel my blood boiling and I was getting heated and I'm starting to stare at the wall. I just like literally wanted to pick up a chair and just throw it at the wall. Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
This makes no sense. And then I looked at her and I said, she has done nothing. It's her first day of work. She's just trying to find out what she's supposed to be doing. She has done nothing wrong.
Yes.
So I had to take myself off. I went to one of them rooms behind a closed door and I had to woosah.
Yes.
I literally had to woosah. I had to pray. I had to calm down, reevaluate,
That's good.
and then reintegrate into the situation. When I came back out, I had her and I started telling her what she needed to know. I started answering her questions and I let her shadow me for, the rest of the shift.
Mm-hmm.
Even though when the guy who referred her went to lunch, he took her with him. Like, if I'm supposed to be oriented, she's supposed to do everything I do. When I go to lunch, she go to lunch.
Right.
But when he went to lunch, he took her with him so they can talk.
Right.
Chop it up still for another hour.
Oh.
So
That you brought up a good point though. Like when those things pop up, like all of the stacking, what type of coping skills do you have to be able to deal with those situations? And some people don't have coping skills. You don't know to go in the closet somewhere out to the side for 90 seconds, as Pastor Hannah say, and go woosah, go pray, go talk to God, whatever method you use or whatever you got, you need a coping skill. You need a coping mechanism to be able to deal with situations.
And a lot of people have like coping skills like listen to music or go work out. And those are very good, inexpensive coping skills and everything. But sometimes you can be in a situation where you just can't just be at work and go do some push-ups and sit-ups and stuff.
Start doing jumping
put
jacks
your
in a minute, right?
your earbuds in and start ignoring because you're still at work.
Right,
So
exactly.
you have to figure out another way to handle. But I was truly heated. I was pissed.
Yeah, he was living because that was a stacking situation.
What you mean I got to do his work?
Yeah.
And I forgot the best part too. The best part. It was a Caucasian male coworker of mine who was there, but he really wasn't on the clock as a mental. He's a mental health worker, but he was asked to come on his off day to clean the area where we keep the patient's belongings. So he cleaned that whole area, the exam, everything from top to bottom, organized and straightened it out. And before the admission came in, when the nurse asked me to do it, I was like, Lazy is still here. He's literally still here in the break room because our supervisor, he had showed up. He showed up with a bag of donuts. I cannot make this up. He showed up with a bag of donuts, and before the break room door could close, Mr. Lazy was right behind him to go eat those donuts. And I told the nurse, I was like, but he's still here. He can do his admission. And she just put her head down. I don't want no trouble, no. I don't want no trouble.
Oh,
I just don't know what time this
my
admission is coming,
God.
and I want somebody to be able to do it with me.
Wow.
The white guy pops his head out, and he was like, I literally just came from the break room. He's in there eating donuts. He can do his admission.
Right. So
As Mr. Lazy was walking out the door, so proud of himself for leaving early, waving, bye everyone.
After you ate donuts.
Ate donuts. Look, as he walks out the door, the admission comes right in. Kid you not. Kid
another
you not.
trigger.
The
So
patient comes in that I got to admit as he walks right past.
Right.
And I was like,
another trigger. So how did you handle that, sir?
that's what I said. All of this
Yeah,
led up to me having to just step off into that little quiet space.
That was good.
Right. That was real good. Yeah.
Pray.
And see, but and a lot of people don't do that though. A lot of people actually take the anger that they have, like the sermon Pastor Hannah was talking about, and they go off on you.
Yeah.
They take it off on somebody
Yeah.
else. Like
Yeah.
when that person that you had to, what's the term you have to do with the lady, that new worker? What was it?
Orient.
We have to orient her, and bring her aboard of everything that you have to do, and that's not even your job. What do you do?
And
You
I
know-
told Tinisha, I said afterwards, as I had time to reflect, like on my way home,
Mm-hmm.
to me, I felt like it was God showing me a lesson. And I said, it was like, you're in God's hand. He
Mhm.
opened his fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to let you get hurt. I'm not going to let anything bad happen to you, but I want to let you see what it's like if you try to do this without me.
Ooh.
You try to do this without, you try to go on to work without me, and this is what you're going to
Yeah. Stacks. And then I'm gonna test
do.
you.
Nothing physically. Like, I got threatened, and it was like two different patients wanted to fight me that day, but nothing happened physically. Like, it was just verbal aggression,
Yeah.
and then it was shut down.
Yeah.
And I wasn't scared, like physically, for my personal safety. But the very next day, when I went to work, I told Tinisha I could feel those fingers close back up because it was a complete opposite day. It was smooth. There was no problems. I don't even think Mr. Lazy was there, but it was just night and day from a
I thought
Wednesday
you-
to a Thursday.
Yeah. I thought you worked with him for 2 days. No.
That was this past week.
That was his past week. Okay.
Saturday
All
and
right.
Sunday.
All right. Okay. Cool. Nope. He wasn't there. And God showed you an example of, oh, that was good. That was really
Mhm.
good. It's really good. You doing things without me, and then having, let me show you what the peace of God with me is like. That's a
Mm.
passes
It's a
all
pass all
understanding.
understanding. Yes.
Oh, that is so
That's
good.
exactly.
Oh,
what it
that was
like.
good. So, that same weekend, I had the sermon ended up being about anger that Sunday, and I had some triggers going through a process, trying to make a large purchase and dealing with just, God, did you tell me to do that? God, just trusting God and staying focused. And I didn't handle it very well that weekend. I didn't handle things very well. And God knew that I didn't handle things very well. I was at home. I was thinking that I was lamenting, right? For you guys don't know, lamenting is you learning how to, is you taking a break. In whatever way possible, about 90 seconds, either you scream in some way, you scream out to God, and you confess in the midst of tribulation to God through yelling, through crying, through whatever way you need to do it. Not throwing things though. Not throwing things. So I was throwing things in the sink. I didn't hurt anybody. Didn't hurt anybody. But my thing was what something I ended up hearing on that Sunday. How Pastor Hannah, he said, you get angry, right?
Mhm.
And then when you get angry, someone comes into your space, your personal space.
Mhm.
And now that person becomes a target and becomes a trigger for you, right? And so what do you do when that happens? So either you're going to take out your anger on that person that comes into your personal space, or you're going to not take your anger out on them. Just simple. Nothing huge. You're not going to take your anger out of them. You're going to learn how to go out to the side somewhere and deal with your emotions and talk to God, which is a topic that we talked about before, about having a relationship with God and sitting there talking to him and working through your issues. Now, there's nothing wrong with you working through your issues. There's nothing wrong with you going to a mountaintop somewhere and screaming. There's nothing wrong with you going to your car and getting angry and hitting something. The Bible said it's okay for you to be angry, but just don't sin not. Just sin not. And so a lot of us don't realize that we can deal with our emotions that way. You can get angry, but you can't hurt somebody in your family. So what I found myself doing was digging up things, hurtful things that I may have thought about my husband did to me in the past, and was directing my anger towards him, like not talking to him, and just constantly digging deeper, going deeper and deeper and deeper into this just bout. And I knew why it was happening, because God told me to, I was being obedient in the situation, and the situation didn't turn out the way that I thought it was going to turn out. So that's another one of the trigger sermons too. What do you do when it don't turn out the way that you want it to turn out? That you like, I did everything, God. I did everything you told me to do, every step, and it's delayed. It didn't happen yet. But like God said, you were obedient. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Obedience is better than the offense. And so, but although I knew that, I heard that, I got word from everywhere, Reverend Morris, people were giving me an amazing word going through this process. It was a faith building process, but I felt like I failed a little bit that weekend. But I got myself out of it. But the way that I got myself out of it, I kept fighting through prayer, just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. And then I had to turn around and apologize to my husband, although he probably didn't feel. Yeah, he felt it, because that same week his friend passed away.
He said, yeah.
He felt it. That same week his friend passed away. And I just felt like, okay, what about my feelings too? You know, nobody's paying attention to my feelings as well. I feel like I take on everybody's feelings in the household. And I got frustrated and I got upset. And I told myself, it's okay, be upset. But get there on Sunday and Pastor Hannah said, but you can't take it out on other people. I was like, that's what I'm doing. And I was like, oh, throughout the whole sermon. And he said, you can't be at home throwing stuff. I was like, wait a minute, I just told somebody it was okay to do that. I'm just being transparent. We had moments where you didn't know how to handle it properly. You didn't go off to go say woosah. And I did. I prayed. But guess what? It was still there. That feeling that I was having of being alone in my situation. I felt alone. I felt like, okay, I got to have his back. I got to have her back. I got to have her back, Anaya's back. And I got to have everybody back. What about mine? And that's what I felt like that week. And so, but ultimately we end up talking about things, and I apologized to him. And we talked about it. We had a great conversation. I was able to share my feelings in a more peaceful way, as far as like I felt alone, and you know he felt alone too in his situation. We just don't know, but you have to communicate with each other in marriage, in friendship, relationships, whatever relationship you have. You need to communicate your feelings and express how you feel versus reacting and taking your pain out on somebody physically, you know, because now you're hurting them and they're like, what did I do?
Yeah, physical or emotional.
Yeah.
So, besides working at the hospital, I have 12 years plus working as a social worker. And one of the places I used to work at is Lawrence Hall Youth Services, where we work with young adults, teenagers. They used to call them wards of the state. Now they call them youth in care. And one of the first things they do when you start, or they did at this particular company, was, you know, you go through orientation and training and stuff. I had to learn therapeutic crisis intervention.
Yeah.
And the trainer was a Asian American woman named Debbie Podmore. And I used to love Debbie because she knew
Debbie
her
is
stuff.
so sweet. Yes.
She was very sweet, and
Yes.
she made sure she trained you well.
She did.
And what she would ask every year, because you have to do it, you know, when you initially start, then every 6 months you have to get recertified in TCI. And one of the things she would always ask in class is for us to list our triggers. List something that would trigger you to anger. And every single time I would put down spat on.
Yep.
And she would, Renard, every time you come to this class, you write this down. And I say, Debbie, I'm telling you, somebody spit on me. I don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And
A
it
lot of
has
people
not-
feel like
it
that.
has
though.
not
What
happened
you just
yet.
say? Right.
It has not happened yet, but I'm just letting you know that would be a trigger for me.
That's what you probably
As a
won't
black
get over,
person,
right?
As a human, just period. I've never experienced it, but I'm telling you, I don't know what I would do.
He telling
if
the world out
somebody
there, don't you
lit spit on me.
That's a trigger for me. I think that's a trigger for everybody.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
And there's two things to go with this TCI training. I was so proud of myself for the things I learned on the job that I started to incorporate it with my everyday life. And I remember a situation where we were at a family gathering,
Oh, I just told this story.
and Tinisha got triggered by some females that wanted to fight her. And I jumped in with my train like, well, now, hold on. I got this. This is what we're going to do. We're going to separate these two people.
Look,
Go over here,
I was grown.
de-escalate you. Go over here. And what did my wife do?
I was growing. I got re-triggered all over. I saw her face again. I was like, oh no, she came up here to fight. We finna fight. And so, I got re-triggered.
Is that at the baby's?
Yeah,
Okay.
baby, his birthday party.
Okay.
And I got re-triggered. Okay, so hubby was amazing
Yes, he
at
was.
handling the situation.
Yes, he was.
Wifey, on the other hand, was like, oh no, it was re-triggered. I don't know what she said. I don't know what
She
happened.
said something when she was going down the stairs, and
Yeah.
you came flying like, what you gonna do now? Why you running? I was like,
He
like,
said,
everything I had put in place was just.
and he did an amazing job. So let me tell you what he did. He says, "You are not going to fight my wife,
Yeah.
and you're not going
Very
to talk to my
calm.
wife. Very calm. You're not going to talk to my wife like this while I'm standing here. I'm gonna get my
Yes,
husband.
you- I'm gonna get my husband. F you up.
And F you. Yeah,
Do
yeah.
what you gotta do.
It was.
But right
It was a
now,
little tough. It was a little tough.
This fight is not
And
about
he
to
said,
happen.
"You're not going to." This is years ago, you guys. We've grown. We've grown. No more fighting. I mean, like over. I ain't gonna even tell you how many years ago. Let me just stop. But we've grown. I've grown a lot since then. As I don't put hands or do anything like that. I want to fight anybody because after that situation, well, I had one more after that, but after those situations or whatever, I realized that. I mean, I realized that I said I can't do that anymore. I have two girls,
So
and
we're
I need
there
to.
watching all
Who
of
was
it.
there watching me
And crying.
and crying at the same time. And I had to work on that. I had to work on not being triggered by somebody saying something to me, talking about me with other people, and me actually physically hearing it. And and
Absolutely.
yeah, and not being taken down. I was growing in God, at that time. And I had to work on that. And once I realized I had to work on that,
Yeah, I tried to get you to ignore her.
oh, she tried.
Yeah, I said
I was-
ignore her.
but-
That's
but-
where it started at.
See,
Back
but the problem was is I called her up there. That's the
Uh-huh.
thing. I called her up the stairs, went to the window and called them up the
Yeah,
stairs.
you did go to the window.
It was quite offensive though, but I'm not even gonna go into total details because I was offended. There was a family member standing there listening
Right.
to this information that was supposed to be near and dear to me at that time, and standing there listening. So I think a lot of that triggered the anger.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, triggered
as
my.
we mentioned at the beginning of the program, personal space violation,
Personal space.
profanity,
Yep,
all the insults, those are the triggers
those
that
are
make people angry.
triggers. Yeah.
Now, the second part of my whole TCI training that I wanted to bring up is we literally had a patient on our unit last week that was a spitter.
Oh.
And everybody was walking around wearing PPE and face gear and goggles, and security was coming up. They was putting towels over the patient's face so they wouldn't get spat on because the patient was a spitter and the patient was HIV positive. So they were doing it on purpose. That's how psychotic the patient was. I got HIV, you getting in me, I'm gonna spit on you.
Oh.
And the other point of the story is, I still have not been spat on. Even once I found out that patient was there, I brought my goggles with me, and I went to the back part of the unit where the patient was, and that patient was asleep the whole time I was back there.
Praise God.
And has been discharged without spitting on me or near me or at me one time. So
Good.
because I still don't know what I'm gonna do with somebody spitting on me.
Hey Eric, gotcha. Give us a call. Good morning. Your cousin on here.
What's up?
Hey Auntie, great morning. You guys like and share, okay? Share out the video for us. And this topic is very, very good because a lot of people don't know how to cope with triggers in their life. Like what you mentioned, you can go back over some of the triggers like that you mentioned at the beginning of the video.
Read the list again.
Yeah, just read the list again as far as like some of the triggers that people deal with in life. So we're gonna go over there to I want to go over to like the twins, grandma and granddaughter.
So here are
I thought we looked alike.
Before
we looked just alike.
grandma and granddaughter.
We just look alike,
the
right?
common triggers to anger
Yeah.
I mentioned were injustice, disrespect, violation of your personal space, abusive language, labeling, shaming, blaming, physical threats, insults, misinformation, lying. That's a huge trigger for a lot of people. Relationship disputes, constant disappointment, lack of control, and then they just put individual, like something personal or unique to yourself.
Yeah. So name some of your triggers in the comments as well. Like what type of things trigger you in life, and what type of coping skills do you use to be able to do that, or do you have any coping skills? And if not, that's something that we all got to try to work on. First of all, a good coping skill is God. Going to God and talking to him and lamenting. I can't mention that enough. I learned that this year by going through the prayer ministry, becoming an intercessory prayer. And I learned about that. I didn't know what lamenting was at that time, but I just knew I needed to. Last year, 2021, I needed to scream because I was feeling just overwhelmed. So what are some of the ways that you cope with triggers? Like, what are your triggers? So we're gonna go over here to the Bopsy twins right here, grandma and granddaughter, the ones that get pretty stubborn in situations, and when they have their minds made up, you can forget about it. No, I'm just saying, I love you, mommy. Let's talk about this birthday party that just happened. Dead. No, just playing. No, just playing.
What's she talking about, Rev?
Dead. No.
What you talking about?
I love you, mommy.
I love you too. What you talking about? Okay.
Okay, so mom, what is something that it's something you don't have a ton of triggers? No, but I know two good ones though. I know tone of somebody's voice, and when you get your mind made up and focus on going somewhere and it don't happen the way it's supposed to happen.
Change of plans.
Change of plans. I don't want to go. I'm good.
Last minute change of plans.
Good. So let's talk about that. What happens when those things happen? I know what tone of voice. Let's talk about the tone of voice first. When somebody's tone changes and they're talking to you as if you're their child.
Right. Oh,
that gut feeling on that.
It's something that rises.
That's what she always said when I was younger.
It rises up in my chest, and it's like, excuse me.
Yeah. Who you talking to?
And I don't get indignant. I'm just like, the last time I checked, my children were at school.
Yes.
So
y'all, that was when we was little.
Yeah,
but
it was in school.
When we was in school, but
I don't care if you're a supervisor. I don't care if you're a manager. I'll do anything for you.
That's right.
I don't mind if you tell me in the right way.
Yeah, and that's anybody should.
Right.
Yeah, respect.
Yeah, respect.
That's right.
So when you start changing that tone, I'm just like, excuse me? And then I just do my finger like this, and then they look at me like, oh, I can't stand her.
Oh wow.
The last time I checked, my children were at school,
Mhm.
so you don't see no kids
That's
right
right.
here. So I mean, I respect people. I expect it in return.
That's right.
So if you can't give it to me, then don't ask me to do anything.
And this Eric, he just wrote
So,
that here
what?
too. He said, I work at the Hilton Hotel and my triggers are disrespectfulness. And I had a homeless man, I'm sorry, Monty, had a homeless
Yeah.
man be real rude and cursed me out and threatened me as security. I kept calm and took a deep breath and called the police. Too early for this mess. That is
My
disrespectfulness.
cousin Eric, he had a dose of those Lawrence Hall kids too.
He did. He ended
Really?
up working at Lawrence Hall, yeah.
Okay.
He
With
had
some wonderful youth and care.
they are amazing. Oh my gosh, no, but yeah, that's so you said that she did used to tell me that. She said the last time I checked, my children were at school, and so there's no kids here, like we're two adults. And so the people that will say that to her, because they've been so nasty to so many people all the time, they didn't know how to handle it when she would say it.
No, they didn't. They would look like, "Ooh, don't ever ask me to do anything for her again." Just different things, but just don't come to me like that. It triggers something in me. It just rises up.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I don't see who you are. I don't care who you are.
Oh,
You can be the president. I mean, I'm just saying.
and that's true.
Just don't speak to me in that tone. But you say, Linda, can you do this for me? Can you do that? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can do this.
but not disrespectfully, like
Because one time a supervisor did that, and she was like, when you get done, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I want you to do this. I went to the desk, I'm looking at her like, I went back to my case, I was so angry, I was mad. And all I could do was say, to God, I said, do something.
That's a big prayer.
You gotta handle it.
You
I
got
gotta do
to,
this.
yes. But that was good because that's a
Yeah.
coping skill right there.
I had
Because
to.
and it's just a simple prayer. That's just it.
And you know what
Lord,
she did?
help me.
Right. She came back and she said, oh, I don't need you to do that one over there. I just need you to get this one up over here, this case, and then that's it. I was like, thank you.
Yes.
To God, not her.
He knew. He
Thank
knew
you.
he needed to, because he knew what they were doing,
Oh my
especially.
goodness.
Yeah.
What does she think I am? An animal limited duty too? With a bad back?
Oh, they
No,
don't
you
care.
gotta get that box, Linda.
No, they don't care
Get that
about that.
box.
Pick it up.
Grab that box. Put it
You
on
know,
your
all
shoulder.
bosses, stack them up.
Oh no, there was some things, you push the certified mail
Mhm.
cart around.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wanted me to do that. And the cart is over 10 pounds.
Mm.
And so she came in there and she said, no, I want Linda to do that, at the cage. I want her to do it. And I said, how much does it weigh?
Wow.
I said, how much does it weigh? And then I said, that's too much weight for me to push.
She like, and she read her papers.
She looked at me. She looked at me and she was like,
Oh, really?
She said something. And then she said, are you going to be like that for the rest of your life?
Wow.
And I said, excuse me?
Why can't I be working here for the rest of my life?
And she said, are you going to be like that for the rest of your life? And all other women in the cage was looking like, I said, I hope not. But for right now, yes. She grabbed the cart herself and pushed it out into the floor where I wanted it.
She cursed
At
on her
this
birthday.
specific time right here, you're going to take care of that car.
Yeah, I mean, I
Fred,
hope
Fred,
not,
Fred,
but for
Fred.
right now, I'm like that now.
Wow.
And she looked at me and everybody was like, wow. And I
Talk
just,
to you later. Thank you.
and I just walked away. I followed her like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, same one. That was the same one that told me do this, do this, do this, do this. Because they don't believe that you're hurt. But yeah, that's just triggers for me that
Wow.
makes me angry when people talk to me like I'm some kid or what kind of way. I mean, I'm grown. Yeah. But at least the stubbornnness, I'm learning how to work on that.
Mhm.
See,
Mhm.
I'm learning to deal with that.
Look at your grandma.
I'm twin.
Your grandma looking at you.
I'm learning to deal with it.
So go ahead, baby. You got something?
No, I thought you was lending money.
Oh, yeah, so the other twin right here.
Party too.
Right. Yeah, the party. That's what we're talking about, the stubbornness. So we're gonna talk about the party next. So my mom's birthday was recently, you guys. Happy birthday, Mom.
All month. Thank you.
October 7th. And my dad's birthday was October 6th.
October the 6th.
They're 2 days apart.
2 days apart.
Yeah.
1 day.
I mean,
A day apart.
Lord, y'all, I know how to add for real though. I
She can
do.
count.
My bad. I mean, 1 day apart.
Right.
Everything you need to learn is where you learn in kindergarten.
Look at her. Look at that face.
Ooh.
Or preschool.
Y'all, that's a trigger for me. Let me stop.
Okay.
So this child right
I
here.
appreciate the party though.
Yeah, the party was great.
No, she told me she was gonna come pick me up
Mm-hmm.
for the party that she had at her house, and I was great. I was like, cool. And the day of, she had so much to do, but I have this thing about integrity. When people tell me they're gonna do something, I expect for them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but she said she was gonna come pick me up. She got this busy, that busy, this busy, and so she couldn't pick me up, and I would have to drive. And I just said, forget it, I'll drive. And I said, forget it, I'll just come later. My friend come, I'll come later. And then she knew I wasn't gonna get there to probably 7:30, and it starts at 4:30. So, and I would do it.
She would.
Or I would change my mind and not come at all.
Yeah, she wouldn't have came
And
back.
that was the other thought in my head.
Well,
I'm not going. But then I thought about all the work you have put in. You told me you already did the decoration. So I was like, well, I mean, but I didn't want to do that to you. I said, she did the decoration, but I'm gonna. And then I was just trying to figure out how to go. How was I not going to let that stubborn streak of mine ruin the day?
She would get stubborn when she was little. She can go all the way back to childhood and just hold her breath.
Yeah,
Or not even
said
say
when I was a
anything.
baby,
Yeah.
I would cry, and then go until I turned blue in the face. Turn me upside down, try to beat me in the back, try to
Get
make
you to
me let
breathe,
it
right?
go. Auntie Ann would just try to help her.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, but
I wonder where
I
that came
admit it.
from though.
I don't know.
That's
I
a
have
good thing. Like
idea.
we talking about like childhood triggers and trauma and stuff like that. You never know why. It's like you could either been doing it for attention or you could have been just
But
doing
I'm
it.
like,
Period.
what? 6 months?
6 months.
I'm a
That's what she
baby.
said, a baby.
Wow.
I'm a baby. She said I would. Just hold my breath. Like she said,
You never
it
told me it was
wouldn't.
6 months. Wow.
She said I was a baby. They had to hold you upside
Yeah,
down. Like,
yeah, you a baby.
to make you let it go.
Wow.
And she said I would do it all the time. I mean, I guess I would do
Wow.
it. But
But you see how long that stemmed from all the way from then, and they saw that, and no one really. I mean, they just tried to pull you out of it for the moment. That's something that they probably should have tried to work on.
yes, they
With
should
you.
have, because I messed up a lot of days as a teenager.
Yep. So yeah.
So
We're
that's it.
back.
Okay, Monty Bonnie, you supposed to be my twin, huh? I didn't know you was this stubborn.
So Amani, let's see. When you tell Amani to do something, and if she doesn't want to do it, oh, she ain't gonna move right away. She ain't gonna move. She'll do it eventually at some point,
Mhm.
but I can see the stubbornness just rises up in her, and it's like this. Like you ain't said nothing to her, and I was like, this is just now as she's getting older. So I know she's growing up, getting older. She's 23 years old now, and at that time, this time, I'm like, boy, I will backslap you. Like I ain't never had to backslap you before, but today I will. I sure will.
Oh my!
I got
You
a couple minutes
really?
to tell us the-
And well, it's going. So that's what I'm telling. I'm talking about her. Talking about how stubborn she gets. So when we be talking to you and telling you to do stuff, how do you feel? Like what happens that trigger you to get stubborn like that?
I was like, when you tell me to do something, and then now you're like right there, and I'm like, she right there though. But I do it anyway. I'm like, you know what, whatever.
Well,
I do it.
Could it be my tone sometimes too?
Yeah.
Like if I'm talking to you,
Yeah,
or
I'm like, when you tell
But
me,
she say
go do this,
nice,
go
right
take the
there.
garbage, go do the dishes. So
Mhm.
Too lazy,
I
can't
said,
do
okay.
it right.
I
That's-
watched
Like
I
I'm
watched-
lazy, can't do it.
I wash the dishes like once
See,
or
they
2
even
days,
sleeping.
bro. And then
Right.
I said, then I'll go lay down. I said, and then I'll go check later, a few minutes later. I said, let me see if these dishes still in. And I look, I'm like, oh my gosh.
do you get frustrated
Yeah,
because
I said she in the room on her either on her phone or her laptop watching YouTube the whole time she be washing dishes. I was like, you know what? I'm sorry, I'll be cursing sometimes. I'm like,
But being honest,
well, you being
Okay, you
honest,
working on
okay?
it.
Some
She
people,
working
yeah,
on it.
you
She
working on
still-
that.
a work in
Just-
progress.
I'm glad
I'm
you're
like-
being transparent because
I'm
you
like,
think you're the only cursing Christian out there.
I was like,
Also, a whole bunch of them that people got to work on that. So, but don't, but let's just say like you young right now, try not to carry that on as something like as a vice that you go to when you get angry. You know what I'm saying?
And I was like, skip it. I was like, that's why I was like, I wash the dishes. Never mind, I'll do it.
Your daddy's about to say something to you.
I'm like, I'll do it. Whatever. So I wash the dishes, and then here she comes. I'm like, I already did it now. I was like, you go back and
That
go
make you
do.
more mad, don't it?
Yeah, it makes her even more mad. So that's that palin situation, like with
Yeah,
daddy
wash the
talking
sink,
about.
wash the
Yeah,
dishes, have mom on the
yeah,
floor.
yeah.
And she come in. I'm like, oh, you go back now. I'm done. She's like, oh, okay.
And she just
Oh yeah. She'll walk out. She won't.
oh, no.
She won't stay in there. And the only thing that like when we dealing with that sometimes is Anaya does our hair for us all the
Yeah.
time for free, right? And we don't have to pay Anaya to do our hair. And so sometimes I'm like, you know what? We could wash the dishes, or if she goes to work every single day now. At that time, no, she didn't. She was hanging out. She was doing stuff, doing whatever she want to do. And then she's at home, which was me when I was younger. I got dumped on because I was always at home.
Yeah, he did.
And so- Yeah, Terry had to take the trash out, and I had to take trash out. I had to wash dishes. I had to clean up the living room. I had to clean up the bathrooms. If Terry didn't take the trash out, the trash still sitting there, and now I'm snatching the trash out the garbage can, like, angry. And I get it. Those are triggers. But when I talk to her sometimes, or even her daddy, he'll say like her tone, and I'm like, Amani is getting older now, and her tone can be a little funky at times. And but the other thing is, if you come at somebody else with a tone, she is 23 years old now. I know that yes, she should be respectful to her parents. Yes, she should. But when they start to get older and they growing up and stuff like that, they got feelings. They have feelings early on in life. And so you have to respect them as well. You can't just be disrespectful to your kids and then expect them to respect you as well. They're humans too. They have feelings. They have emotions. And they have triggers.
Yes, they do.
And triggers can come about through their parents, from the way that their parents treat them. And so that's something she gonna have to work on because my trigger growing up. Well, I ain't washing a doggone dish when I get older. I ain't washing no dishes when I get my own place.
And she ain't making no man's plate either.
And I ain't making no
she
man's
make
plate.
Your plate and bring it to you, don't she? Yes, she do. Yeah, but another mechanism I use is laughing.
Yes, you do.
I laugh a lot.
Yes.
Sometimes people look at you like,
right, you supposed to be mad.
I said, oh, I'm not laughing because it's funny.
Yes.
I'm laughing to keep from crying or
getting
being
angry. Yeah.
mad, angry.
Yeah.
Like I'm laughing because I'm like, it's disbelief.
And
like really,
the phrase "hurt people."
Oh,
right.
Is
yeah.
very true because
It is.
in the midst of that storm that day when all that dumping was happening on me, I noticed I triggered 2 patients. Not only was I triggered, but I also was a trigger. It was a patient who was trying to figure out when quiet time was going to start. And I was like, half an hour. And he was like, what? I said, quiet time's going to start in 30 minutes. And he was like, oh, okay. Because I was like, 30 minutes is half an hour. What you say to me? You ain't have to get smart. He came flying down that hallway. He was like 6'2",
half an hour.
280 pounds, rushing at me. His hair was sticking up like a afro that person stuck their finger in a light socket, and he was just
triggered.
He was like, "You catch these hands! I ain't scared of you." He came running. I was just like, "That was my fault."
Yeah,
and I was just standing there. I didn't say anything else. He came close, then he stopped, and he turned around and went to his room. And the second patient, he got triggered because the dinner trays were here, but I was in the hallway, and I told you the whole thing about being on the hallway the last time I was here is we can't move. We have to sit there and monitor the hallway to keep patients from going out of each other's room, make sure, nothing goes down. And he was like, man, come on, it's dinner time. Let's eat. What's going on with these trays? And I'm looking for people to come help set up and serve, but everybody just, dispersed and scattered. And I'm just standing like, I really can't leave my post. And he was like, what? Man, y'all gonna let the dinner get all the way cold? And I was like, no, halfway. What you say to me? And he came charging me.
He did it again. See, he woosah.
You said halfway.
Yeah, halfway.
He heard me and he came flying, running over. He was like 5'2", stocky little dude ready to fight. And I was like, that was me. I did that one.
Good morning. But yeah, he was a trigger to them. That was funny. He woosah to help himself, but that is still piling on throughout the day. Like, this is another day, right? Was that another day?
It was the same day.
Same day, yeah. Great morning.
Two patients wanted to fight me, and I was just frustrated from all the work being dumped on me. And I had to step aside, woosah, pray, come back, reevaluate, and take it from there.
Yeah. So, triggers. I want you. We talked about triggers today, and we're gonna close with the listing of triggers again, as far as and then talk about some coping skills and things like that, where you can make it. When these triggers come about in life, like how do you deal with them? And so for you, this is your first time ever.
You can read this.
Okay. So this is your first time dealing with your situation. You were able to calm yourself down for the first time dealing with it. That's good. And for me, this past weekend dealing with anger. Oh, I had one more. This last weekend, we were at church and Renard and I came in with both of our parents. I came in with my dad and he came in with his mom. So Pastor Hannah, was it Pastor Hannah?
No. My mother was already there.
Well, his mom just said you walked up towards the front with her. Well, she saw him coming in and she got up out of her chair and walked towards. So we all kind of pretty much walking together. It's just me and Renard, and both our parents. And so I thought we all were about to sit right next to each other. I found a row that had four seats. And I looked back. No, I'm sorry. It was just me. I didn't know his mom was following us at that point. I just thought it was me, my dad, and Renard. And I thought that I found a row where all three of us can sit right next to each other. Then when I saw his mom, I was like, oh, okay, it's 4 seats down there. And they kept going. Renard and his mom kept walking up towards the front. And I was like, what's happening? And me and my dad said, why is he doing that? We both about to get upset at that second, right? And then he said, my dad, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Tinisha. It's okay. He's sitting with his mom. And I said, yeah, but I'm texting like, why aren't you sitting back here with us? So I'm angry. I got a little angry. This is walking right into church. I got angry. I was excited walking in them. I'm like, I know God got to work for me today. And then that just, it triggered inside of me. I'm used to sitting next to my husband all the time. I'm used to being by him all the time. And so he, when he went up there and sat next to his mom, he was just like, Tanisha, calm down. The sermon comes on about talking about those, about some triggers and things like that, about calming yourself down and not carrying baggage and letting yourself, like, what if it pop up right there at that very second and calming yourself down? And I was like, I'm not gonna let this take me. I redirected my mindset. I was like, you came here for the word of God. You came here for the word of God, and you came here to it was about forgiveness. Forgiveness is best accomplished when you identify who you're angry with. That's what it was, forgiveness. Determine what they owe you, cancel the debt, and dismiss the case. That's exactly what when he brought that up, when the pastor brought that up, and I was like, forgive, let go. And then I started thinking, I said, you don't even know why he sat up there next to his mom. You're about to get angry and you don't even know why they went up there. Well, in my head, like mom was talking about integrity and communication, I was like, well, why didn't he just text me as my husband and say, hey, we're sitting up here with mom? Then I said, Tanisha, let it go. Yeah, let it go. And I chose to forgive something that he don't even know I'm trying to forgive him about. I chose to let go of the situation. And I chose to, and it ended up being so great that somebody was standing next to me who was there, who was a first timer. So I was able to focus on the word of God and talk to him and communicate with him, welcome him to the church and all those different things or whatever. But anyway, at the end, found out he was a cute, like Renard. And then they end up introducing them. And then I grabbed my husband's hand at the end of the sermon and kissed him on the cheek and told him I missed him. Instead of getting upset because the sermon was great. I could have held on to a grudge throughout the whole sermon, been upset, been angry, went home upset, and messed up the whole day. Because I can't with my attitude. I get mad. What? Yeah. Yeah, I get mad at somebody. I go sit in my prayer room and sit there for hours and just walk away from everybody. Don't talk to me, leave me alone.
Okay, so what's that? That's 3 generations.
That's what they said earlier. 3 generations. Yeah, 3 generations.
That's what the 3 generations was
about.
That's right.
That's what. Yeah, and I'll just go away, and I'm just like, don't talk to me. I don't talk to nobody.
That's what you do.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're gonna. Yeah, what'd you say?
I don't want nobody to talk to me. You trying to talk to me? So what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, please. I'm like, please leave me alone. So I don't want nobody to talk to me right now.
See, well, she never told me that. Like, but that's good to know. I'll try to walk away from you, and it's okay.
Trying to ask me questions. What's wrong? What's wrong? I just trying to see what's wrong, y'all.
Make you even more mad.
You want to talk? I'm like, please, just leave me alone.
Just leave me alone.
She said, just get out my room. I want to be by myself.
She's like, why you still in your room? I'm like,
but she
get out my room.
Get out my room.
Right.
That was the sermon this past Sunday about get out my right. The whole house is y'all. Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't pay for nothing here. Get out my room. But she hasn't said that to me. She's not disrespectful like that. And that's good. That's you being respectful to mommy, and that you're not letting us, not saying those things. Every kid, anybody kid, mom under their breath, talk about parent behind their back.
This kid's so disrespectful. Mom, get out my room. Close my door.
I wish you would.
I wish you would. You ain't kidding.
I take them hinges off. I told Anaya that one day. I take them hinges off that
take
door.
That door.
I take that whole door. This ain't yours. I need a lock. You don't get no lock. What you mean?
The first day you locked your door.
Oh yeah.
With me, you knew it was time to go. You was in that talking to
Yeah, I was
your
20.
future husband on the phone.
I was, and she was like, "Who's she in there talking to about me?"
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
ain't
About
talking
me.
"About me?"
Yeah, the door locked.
About me.
About me. She wouldn't let me get my twin.
They was trying to. That's it.
I wanted my twin out of
Poor
there.
child. I had a whole bunch of triggers growing up,
But
but
that day, yeah, y'all decided to look for a place.
I did. Yeah, I
Because
decided
I
at
always
that point.
said, when you get growner than me
Mhm,
in my
it's time for you to
house,
go.
it's time to go. And
But
she knew it was time to
I
go.
didn't. She's never said that to me verbally before though. But my mother and I have a great relationship with each other
That you just
that I already know. Like I could sense
Right.
we bounce off of each other emotionally and stuff like that. So
yes.
I already knew at that point. I was like, I can't stay here no more because you know we were dealing with something. But so we're gonna let Amani close out, you guys. This was so good. It's share this video. Also, you can still comment on this video about the triggers that you probably experienced in your life and what triggers you now as an adult. You know, or some could be childhood trauma and something that you never dealt with. You know, and so but just try to reach out to people. I mean, not seduce you or do your research. Seek God first. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
Yes.
Another simplistic prayer, help me. God help me.
Yeah, that's a prayer.
That's a prayer.
Okay.
First, go to God, but also this anger management.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
Therapy. Yes,
Mhm.
you need, if you have anger issues, that's very true. Anger management,
Yes.
whatever way for you to get rid of that trigger, get rid of that and find a way to be able to not just to cope with it, but get rid of it. Like they were speaking on about removing that. Removing it and releasing it. And sometimes it's embedded down in your body. It's embedded in your nervous system to the point where you don't know how to handle it, and that becomes an emotion that's attached to you, and it becomes yours because you allowed it to become yours. So there are coping mechanisms for you. There's strategies, there's tips, there's help, anger management, therapy, God, of course, God first, all times. Talk to a friend. Maybe somebody else may have some advice for you. You know, if it's something that you don't know how to do, go do your research. We found an article on triggers just that easily. It's so many things out here to help people to not be hurt people who hurt people walking around every single day. So we're going to close out and let Amani read the triggers that a lot of people may be dealing with. And if you can relate to some of those,
common triggers to anger.
Yeah, common triggers to anger. And so if you're dealing with some of those things, let us know. You know, maybe we all can we you know, research and do some research together and find out how we can help each other. But go ahead, Mommy.
Let's see. Injustice, disrespect, violation of your personal space, abusive language, labeling, shaming, blaming, physical threats, insults, misinformation, lying, which I hate, relationship abuse, consistent disappointment, which I hate, lack of control, and some individuals exclusively.
Yes. So those are some of the triggers. Those are you said common triggers to anger. Disrespect. Yeah, let's learn how to walk in integrity and walk in God as we begin to, you know, continue to grow in the Lord and learn how to seek him first. Seriously.
And in closing, all of our viewers, please do not come spit on me to try to figure out what I'm going to do, because you will catch these holy hands.
Holy hands. Holy hands.
Ooh, what is that saying? What did they
do?
say in church?
Don't try me, try God.
Yeah, don't try me, try God. What you get, Mama? You got any closing remarks?
No, that was funny. No, like I said, Money said lying, which she hate.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's just like you said, integrity.
Yeah.
Just if you say you're gonna do something,
Yeah.
you know, just do it.
Do it.
Yeah, have integrity and do it.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I know things come up.
Yeah.
And if you, let me know ahead of time. I say let me know. You see,
Yeah, and that's true. That's a good way because sometimes people wait till the last minute and then they tell somebody like I can't do what I
Okay,
said I
well,
was gonna do, and it's like
do it next week. I'm like, really?
yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take my clothes off.
we do that to Amani a lot. She
Oh,
gets her
okay.
clothes on and get ready, and we.
He's like, okay, well, we're just gonna go by ourselves. I'm like, really? I just put my clothes on and everything. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
take my clothes off.
This child probably possibly have a lot of triggers, and I'm glad you're talking about it. I'm glad you're saying something.
Yeah, well, you can hear when she was reading the list, which
Yeah.
one she said, I hate
that. Yeah.
I hate
Lying,
somebody
lying,
lying,
disappointment.
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 I hate
That was one of her triggers growing up too, and then now, as you can see, disappointment. People saying people don't follow through doing what they say they're
That's
gonna
fine.
do.
I just take my clothes off. I'm like, all right. I said, you gotta come. I'm like, never mind. I tell Jason, I'm like, you know what? That's okay. I'll see you next week. I was like, oh, we'll see you this weekend. I'm gonna take my clothes off.
Yes.
That's grandma all the way. That's her twin right there, boy. But through this platform, through Cupcakes, through Drizzle Me Happy, and through Cupcakes and Conversations, God is allowing us to be able to spread the word of God and canceling anxiety through Cupcakes and putting a smile on people's face from state to state. And so my prayer in this company is just a whole umbrella of different things that God is allowing us to do through this platform by having this internet radio station and being able to talk about him. And people see the simplistic walk with God. We all have transparent things that we deal with in our lives. And so we just want to be relatable to people, you guys get to know who we are through whose we are. And we have I struggled with anxiety in the past, and so I just want to be able to help people. And at some point, I pray that I'll be able to have the help on hand to cancel anxiety. But prayerfully, through my walk with God, through our talk with God, and through this platform, it will help put a smile on somebody's face, and it won't hurt if you get a cupcake.
And they're good. And
Yep.
they're great. They're my favorite today.
All right, you guys, we love you. And God
Yes, we
loves
do.
you too. Have an amazingly blessed week. And don't forget to join us next week on Cupcakes, Christian Cupcakes and Conversations with me, Tinisha Stevens. And pray that you and join us at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Have an amazingly blessed week.
Yes.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.